Hello, welcome to Q&A day 3. I wanted to bring you out here. Look at this. Isn't that amazing? It's the mountains of Slovenia and the forests, and I'm literally sitting, the studio door is right there. I don't get to see hardly any of this in the day, but it's absolutely stunning. It's Q&A day 3, and loads of questions. Thank you. It's great. Again, my family don't need to put some up, but some really interesting questions. So I'm going to try and answer them quicker today, and I will try and make sure that I answer all the questions in the 8 days. So even if I have to do a long video at the end, I will. But I'll try and keep them to maximum 10 minutes because I know everyone's busy. Okay. Leah, you have a beautiful voice to share in the world. Thank you. That's very nice. Thank you. How long have you been a singer? How did you first start singing, and what has the journey been like? Well, there's a funny story about this, because when I was a kid, I just remember that I really wanted to be an actor when I was about 5 and or 6, and that's what I really thought I wanted to be. And for my whole childhood, it's what I did and what I was good at. And then my dad now tells a story where he said, no, you always insisted you wanted to be a singer first. And my mum was a hairdresser, and she used to have people come to the house on a Tuesday and a Thursday, and she would do hairdressing from our dining room. And I would sing with a hairbrush for a microphone age 4 or something. So I guess for a very long time. And I used to sing a lot in musicals. And then when I started writing music, I had to find a different voice. I had to find a more authentic voice. And it's not that in a musical you're not authentic, but there's a different kind of power. So, you use more of your stomach, and it's more operatic. So I had to learn what did my actual voice sound like if I wasn't singing someone else's composition, but was singing something that was more personal. So the journey has been really interesting. Honestly and truthfully, I really struggled to like my own voice, the sound of it, for a very, very long time as an adult, and was always very critical and harsh on myself, and never saw the good in it. I just tended to see what was wrong, or what I couldn't do, or what the composer in me was frustrated that the singer couldn't do. So my composer would want the singer in me to kind of do something amazing, and if I couldn't do what I thought was amazing, I would be very hard on myself. So the nice thing is, in about the last 3 years, since doing Golden World was kind of my breakthrough around that. I've come to appreciate my voice and recognise I have a singer's voice, and of course not everyone's going to like it, but to appreciate what I've got there and enjoy using it more. So thanks for the question. Adya, I think it's Adya. I've discovered your music just recently, and I really like it. I find it very soulful indeed. Thank you. I suppose you get the inspiration from your own experience. I find both your lyrics and the music very unique. My question, however, is who are your role models? Who do you look up to the most, and why, if there is someone? Honestly, I think a ton of people are my role models, and everyone I'm close to, whether they're my family or my friends, I can tell you something about those people that I've learnt from or witnessed that are kind of amazing qualities. And so I think we all teach each other. But if you mean role models as in who do you aspire to, I guess in music, because I connected with Kate Bush very early, to me it's important to try and do something groundbreaking and that's a world in music. It's challenging. It's like, how can you make a video that's really interesting, and especially as I've never had budgets to kind of do that with. And I think role models in general in the world, if I'm honest, peace activists and people who are working on behalf of the environment. There will be a ton of non-public people doing that, but we don't see those. And I would honestly say, in the public eye, it may sound strange to some of you, but I really admire Angelina Jolie in the last 3-4 years. And so if there's any kind of role model I aspire to, my hope is that my own life path in the next few years becomes more humanitarian. I feel like it's been more human in the last few years, and working with humans on suffering, and I would personally see my own path becoming a bit more global around that stuff, if I can. That's what my potential feels to be anyway, so we'll see. Tony, this is a great question. If you had only 5 minutes on earth to perform one song that could leave the greatest impact on the world today, what song would you choose and why? I could probably answer this differently every week, but the song I would choose today would be Ramadasa. which is sung by Snatam Kaur, the version I have, and you can look that up on YouTube, and maybe I'll try and put a subtitle here so that you can find it. I just love it. I listen to it at the moment before every seminar I do. It's a 15-minute piece of music, and it goes Ramadasa sa se so hum, and it's beautiful. And to me, it just emits peace. So I listen to that if I want to be calm and I want to settle. So that's what I would sing right now. Is your music channeled? And also, I don't know who this is from, sorry, because I've copied them onto a sheet and sometimes the name isn't there. Would you be so kind to tell us about sound channeling? I also work with sound, with gongs, crystal bowls, and I want to open my voice more so I can channel all great frequencies and give them to people. Thank you. Sound channeling. Well, you know, this is really simple. I just believe you open the essence of your voice, and that may sound flowery language to some people, but the sound frequency that each of us have is unique. So as a singer, you have a certain tone because of the way your body is composed and how your soul has experienced life, which is why we like certain singers. You know, often a singer you really resonate with will be quite similar to you without you knowing or not. There will be something in them that you really connect with. So is my music channeled? I kind of answered that, I think, the other day, but I'm going to jump to another question and tie them in because someone else asked me, here we go, is the next question. Your songs have such a healing quality, but I must say your sound energy healing tracks from last month felt like you were exploring an entirely different aspect of your music, and it was so exciting to me. Your vocal sound mixes were just so powerful and felt almost like a new crossover between your music persona and your intuitive persona. Personas, I like that. Even though in truth they're all coming from the same place inside you, I was curious if you had given any thought to creating an album that fuses these two music healing aspects of you in a more tangible way. Wow, this is a great question, and I'll answer the two together. Devore and I met at a conference, a healing conference, and so Devore works as a therapist and is very spiritual, and we both had this is not the last time we're working together. This is a project, and we see ourselves collaborating on many things now. And our desire with this was to make what you might call more mainstream music that's encoded very soulfully, very deliberately, which we've both always done in all our work, but the two of us joining forces to do it together with a very specific intention that we wanted to make an album that would open people, but that wouldn't be alienating to people who might not go for spirituality, or, you know. So that's what we're doing right now, and that's album number 1. We also intend to do some adventures and sound projects together, which is what I did last December. I loved it. To me, I was on a high for a few days after that. And it was so easy. That was the funniest thing. You know, there's times I've slaved away on singer-songwriter albums for ages, and that was all of those vocals were recorded within like an hour. And I didn't listen back to anything I was doing. I would do one layer, I would press play while I hit record, so I would hear that layer and then add the next layer. So it was completely improvised. And if anything, I probably spent an hour and a half on each track mixing the levels to get the levels right. So I kind of don't necessarily, I think that's happening. In answer to your question about will I merge the two, I think that's actually happening right now, and I know for a fact that 2014 for me is going to be as much, if not more, about music work than about my energy work, because I've really devoted myself to energy work since 2006 full time, and that's been 8 years that I've kind of given myself to that field. So I will still continue in that field, but it's really vital for me and my development and my growth to now go towards sound more and away from words. So there will be another Adventures in Sound in March, which I'm really excited about doing when I get back to Colorado in February. And then Devore and I may do some fusions, and we also want to do some live stuff where you kind of have the toning and the chanting. And so to go back to the first question about do you want to open your voice more, I would go and sing with people as well, because what I'd love to do is do performances where we sing together and tone together, as well as maybe we lead some things. So it's all in the works, it's all coming. How long have I been? Oof, 9:59, okay. Let's see. I'll do one more and then we'll save the rest for tomorrow. Okay. I'm curious to know how you came to record in Slovenia and work with Devore and Utso. Fabulous recordings. Thank you, Angie. I met Devore at the Vienna Midsummer Conference for Crimson Circle in 2012, and what a gift that was, because I just landed in America and a friend of mine said, I just got my 3-year visa for America and I was going back to Vienna within 3 weeks, and a friend said, why are you doing the conference? Surely you don't want to go back to Europe. And I was like, no, I've got to go. I understand what you're saying, but I feel like I've got to go. Well, lo and behold, not only was it a wonderful conference, but when I walked, I was about to go on stage and channel and talk about fear and opening beyond fear, which now seems very symbolic. And they said to me, would you like this guy Devore to do some percussion and some gongs and bowls? And I was like, yeah, great, that would be wonderful, thanks. Said hello to him. And then they'd asked me to perform some music, so I did 2 songs from Golden World, which I didn't know that he knew my work, but he did. But he didn't know I did music. So because I performed Time and Fast from Golden World live, he then came up to me and asked me about my music afterwards, and I said to him, I said, oh, how long have you been doing percussion? And he went, I don't do percussion. And I was like, oh, well, you just, and he went, yeah, I've never done it before, but they asked me to, so he said, I'm a musician. And I was like, oh, okay. I went back to my hotel room at the end of the conference, and I was just walking around, putting stuff away, and I just got this big poof in my head, you could make an album with Devore. And I was like, okay. You know, he's in Slovenia, I'm about to go back to Colorado, but whenever I get those intuitions, I know I have to do something about them. So I thought, well, I'll just tell him. And I did. I went up to him and he smiled and looked at his girlfriend. And he said, I told my girlfriend this week I wanted to work with Leah, you on music. So we started in April and it was like a rocket. It was very, very quick, and we were basically... we were birthing songs very, very quickly over a 2-month period, doing Skypes. He would send me arrangements, I would send something back, and yeah, then we booked a month for me to come here and do lead vocals. So it's been a total adventure. And Utso worked with Devore because Devore was a pop star as a teenager in Slovenia. All of this I didn't know till we'd started on the album. Then I learned he's had quite the career. He did a musical called Nero, which is Slovenia's most successful musical to date, in 2009. So he's very talented and brilliant, and my brother now. So yeah, so we've had a great time. And Utso used to be Yugoslavia's premier sound engineer in the 70s, the 80s and the 90s. And he still does work now, but he's not as prolific as he used to be. So he's this brilliant person of great experience, and the reason we're working here is because he has some of the most amazing tape machines you've ever seen. So all this stuff we've recorded digitally is getting squeezed through tapes right now, and the sound is so warm. I've never heard anything, I've never done a record that sounds this warm, and I've never done a record that's this accomplished either. So so it's exciting. I'm not sleeping, I'm sleeping 3 hours a night, so I've probably got huge black bags under my eyes right now, but that's the adrenaline of holding energy space while the album births. And yeah, so anyway, thanks so much. I'm loving chatting about the music. It's really nice for me, and I'm really glad that you guys are interested, because we're all music fans together. So I will do another one tomorrow, and if there are any more questions, just put them up and I'll keep answering them. Big love, bye bye.
Sound will hold you, will slow you down.